Hi, everyone. Carmen Didisco here. We are going step by step through Inventor Confidential, the new book by Warren Tuttle. It is sweeping the inventor world. We have a firsthand look. We are going through page by page. And I got to tell you, some pretty interesting stuff. Hey, Warren, the author himself, Mr. Warren Tuttle. What's happening, man?
Hey, thanks, Carmine. And this is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of information in the book, and it covers a lot of ground. So this is kind of fun to come back in short, 10 to 15 minute segments and sort of really focus in on some of the key issues in the book.
Oh, no doubt. And that's what I think is really good, because I've even been fielding questions on your book. People have been calling, hey, listen, I read through some book, what does Warren need? And some of the questions were how do I really get in touch, or how do I act when one of those companies call me back that I sent my product to?
Right. Well, listen, it's always a trip when they call you back, and as I say in the book, that's when the game really begins, for you. But I thought we talked today, Carmine, about the cultural divide between companies and inventors.
Yeah,
that's a core part of the book, and that's the arena I live in. For those that don't know me, some will watch and know me and understand my passion, but I've never misrepresented myself. What I do is I run open innovation programs for companies. So I have a skill set that's I brought many products to market myself. I'm not a great inventor myself. I've dabbled here and there, but mostly I've been a visionary on products. And if you watch my other videos and read the book, you'll see exactly who I am. What I am good at, though, is understanding, how the product goes to market. And I do play a very unique role in running open innovation programs that I've opened up several companies to taking products from the outside. And we discuss at length in the book about how that has to work in order for it to work. But my star company is Lifetime Brands. And that was the original company. I'm in my 15th year now. I brought them in a lot of business, and I use a lot of that as my experience, and how we set that up properly and ethically really is the foundation, for the book. So, I'm happy to either answer questions or just dive right into it. What would you like?
Yeah, well, I want people to realize when you say 15 years, you kind of just say that, and it might blow over people's head. 15 years in this type of industry, that is unheard of.
Well, it's the great thing is too, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but I do 1-year deals. We started in the beginning with let's try it for a year and see, so I was under pressure right from the word go, which is fine. I like to perform. I believe in adding value, which means selling product, which means making profit. That's why my book is all about profit. Okay. I'm not about just giving advice and then collecting a check. I want to succeed if everybody succeeds. And that's the position I'm in. And so every year we renew. I've had 14 amendments. And I don't think there's any reason why Lifetime Brands wouldn't want to know. And every year we sit down and we talk. Do you want to keep me? Do you want to stay? And okay, yeah, let's do it again. And if they didn't want me, they would have booted me out 14 years ago. Okay. And I think that's really important for people to know. Now, I play a unusual role there at the hero model. I work with all the division heads and so forth, but we're the only company that I know of in the house that really has an open innovation program with a dedicated person to it. And so, obviously Lifetime Brands is close to $1 billion company, so they can afford that. And it's great for me because then I don't have to worry about taking money from inventors, and I can make legitimate, hardcore decisions on moving ahead or not based upon performance, based upon the potential for the product, and not have to, get in the middle and BS with everything. So that's kind of the role that I fill. But correspondingly, I do have to advocate for the inventors. That's a big part of my role. That's what the company wants me to do. That's why I'm an outside contractor, because they don't tell me what to think or do or say. I don't have to go into the office every day, and I'm allowed to independently work out there. And then I'm allowed to collect information, vet it, and then work with the heads of the divisions of each division. Lifetime has 9 different divisions. They're the biggest kitchen gadget company and division in the world. One of the biggest bakeware, if not the biggest cutlery in the United States, and so forth, so on. So they own the brand name Farberware and license many others, over 40 brand names. You can go on lifetimebrands.com to learn more about them. But the bottom line is that I'm kind of the translator between cultures, and between the corporate side and the inventor side.
Yeah. Well, doing that, you have probably seen such changes in Lifetime Brands, but for them to think about and work with you 15 years ago, that is unbelievable for their foresight and to bring you on for this long. I mean, you must be doing a great job bridging that cultural gap.
Well, it was very visionary. And at the time, Dan Siegel, who's the current president of Lifetime Brands, at that time was the head of innovation for the company. And he had just read a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which we'll talk about another time in another show, because I've gotten to know Kim very well, and Renee. And it was a groundbreaking book on companies looking for new opportunities, sailing in the blue seas for new profit potential instead of fighting over market share. So we developed the Open Innovation Program to be an offshoot to that we would go into a new arena that nobody else was doing. And I would find outside products. Two things. I would look for outside products, use my relationships to find them, advance them. And also Lifetime would set up their own portal, which then anybody that came in through there, I would be the one. So between those things, I get thousands of submissions every year, and it started right off the get-go. And for a couple of months, it's fun. And then the pressure builds up. We better get a hit, right? We better get a hit, because if we don't, I'm going to be looking for something else to do next year. Now, I will just fast forward and say that we've done about 100 licensing deals since I started. And we've had a number of hits. But my first big hit was a product called the odor absorbing splatter screen. And of all places, it came from Long Island, 20 miles away from headquarters, which is amazing because I get, products from all over the world. And basically what the inventor had put together was, I did not realize, I never did, that the splatter screen's the fifth single best-selling SKU in all of housewares. Those little splatter screens you see hanging on the back wall of Bed Bath.
Yeah.
And this guy mixed a carbon charcoal filter in, and that suddenly became more than a splatter screen. Now took the odors out.
Wow.
And not only that, Carmen, was really cool. You could put it in the top shelf of the dishwasher. For those who understand what top shelf dishwasher safe means, is a certain, you can wash it 600 times. And by the way, it reactivates the carbon charcoal. So it works better each time. So this suddenly took this sort of very generic, commodity, almost like splatter screens, that anybody that could make a stainless steel product and lower the price, gave it value, a special brand name, a special launch. It commanded, a $2 higher retail, and Lifetime's gone on to sell millions of them. So thank God I had that big hit out of the box. Since then I've done so many, I brought Misto in, which was one of my original products, and arranged for that to go forward, which has been a huge hit. I did Food Huggers, which has been a massive hit. I've done the Bagel Biters, the guillotine bagels, things, which have been a massive hit, and many others. Now, I've done a lot of licensing agreements that didn't get to anywhere. So I've also learned along the way, and we've learned collectively that not everything works. And this is why I talk about prototypes, which we'll talk about in a separate section, why they're so important, because we've learned the hard way when things aren't ready, how to do it. But fortunately, I got that hit on the board. We started having hits. And from then on, it took the pressure off, and I can do my job. And basically, at the end of the day, I'm the gateway to the inventor community. And I get to do what I love, which is help inventors for free.
Well, these are products that most likely, Lifetime Brands wouldn't have seen.
No, they wouldn't have seen them a lot of times. And listen, it's there's a never-ending, plethora of goods coming in and things to look at. But there's a bigger role in some ways that I play, which is sort of protecting the company, because the head of product development, who's one of my best friends, has 70, 80 people reporting him. He doesn't have time to look at new products all day. He can't look at 20 products a day. So I have a formula. I have a certain way to approach me. It's the best in the business. Anybody want to question that, call me up, have a discussion. Okay. We are elite. Okay. In the way we, but not just in the housewares industry, but for an open innovation period. Okay. In the way we get back to people know that. Okay. How we work and operate, but I vet it. I make sure that it's, there's not anything like it. I vet the inventor, I vet the person, which I talk about in the book, which is just as important as the product. And, and then I usher it through, and then I work with, tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with the head of the kitchen gadget division. We meet once or twice a month to go through things and see what advances and does and so forth. And then it's my job to close the deal. And by the way, in all the licensing deals I've ever closed, and I've actually been serious about putting together, I've only lost 2 out of, over 100. And I one of them, the person decided they didn't want to license at all. And only one have we lost to another company. And that's fine. By the way, I tell everybody all the time, if you can find a better company that's good for you, then you should do it. I don't benefit by having to do the wrong thing. So I try to develop a rapport with people early on. But again, I help all types of people, no matter where they come from around the world. And hopefully, even if you get rejected, you will have learned something about the process and how things work for either down the road or other submissions to other companies you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing that's great about it is even the several years that I've known you, I've noticed that. I mean, you're constantly tweaking the process. I mean, it must be so much different from when you first started to now, but it's always worked, but you're tweaking it, making it better each year.
Well, we've learned a lot, okay? And so now we ask much more deliberate questions. We want to know more about cost of goods and pricing and so forth. You know, sometimes companies that don't have open innovation budget just sort of take a product, it's hit or miss. And then you find out a year later they couldn't make it and so forth. So we try to address a lot of those things up front. Now when we sign licensing agreements, it's probably gotten a little harder in some ways, but we're much more confident in it's going to move ahead and so forth. But
Cool.
Listen, the odds are long. I'm not going to juke anybody on this. It's not easy, but we're trying to give you helpful advice. We're not charging you. It's an entirely free process. You know, I do the same thing with merchant media. We do a lot of testing for people. We we never charge. We never try to tie up people in contracts. You know, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's a really wonderful, that's one thing I don't have to worry about is the stress and pressure of doing things, you know, shortcuts or trying to collect money on the basis of not doing things the right way. So I can sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, it's great. I mean, working with a company like, Lifetime Brands, if you get a licensing deal, they're going to put the product on the shelf. They're going to test it. It's not going to go, you go to a smaller company and it could sit on a shelf in their warehouse and they might not do anything with it just because they don't have the funds or the ability.
We could, and I always walk everybody through the contracts. You know, the other thing I have a section in the book on is legal agreements and the licensing royalties and what to expect and hidden things in contracts. I mean, there's a lot of valuable information. I saw someone said the other day that there's not a lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff in the book. Okay, trust me. And then how to accomplish that, how to move forward with the company, what the review process looks like from the inside, what some of the issues are. I'll give you an example. I saw a book that advocates for inventors. You should put like two functions together, and present that as like an idea. All right. That happens all the time because people are coached that way. So people will put together like a spatula, and a spoon, and they'll call it a spoon-a-lot or something. I'm just giving an example. It happens all the time. I get them all the time. And the head of the gadget division told me once, if you bring me one more of these combo things, you're being thrown out of the office and never allowed back in. So these are the things that, as opposed to people writing about submitting and where I am on the inside, I try to tell these anecdotes and these stories and expand on it. There's a lot of valuable information. So I hope that you understand, and hopefully if you're hearing these words, you'll be inspired to learn more in the book.
Warren Tuttle, author, Inventor Confidential. Go to inventorconfidential.com or buy this book on Amazon. If you do, please leave a review. Warren, as usual, man, thank you so much for spending the time, and we will catch you next time, inventorconfidential.com.